Hello investors and welcome to my YouTube channel where I study the best investors and businesses from around the world. In this week's video we'll go over the book The Richest Man in Babylon by George Samuel Clason. In this video we will look at 4 key topics. Number 1, how saving and investing wisely is crucial to amassing a fortune. Number 2, the key to accumulating wealth, learning through trial and error. Number 3, the influence and uses of luck. Number 4, how making sound financial decision avoids debt. Let me begin by telling you the story of the richest man in Babylon. Once upon a time in ancient Babylon, there was a wealthy man named Arcad. He was in fact the wealthiest man in the country. 2 of his childhood friends approached him, curious as to how he became so wealthy, and while they struggled to feed their families despite working very hard. Arcad smiled and told them that he had once been told the secret to wealth by another wealthy man in exchange for his services as a scribe. A portion of everything you earn is yours to keep, was the secret. To put it another way, you should not spend all of your money, but rather invest it wisely. Arcad had started by saving enough money to lend to a shield maker who then paid interest on the loan, thereby increasing Arcad's wealth. There are many parables like this one from the ancient city of Babylon, and in this video you will find advice that can be distilled from them and applied in a modern setting. You'll also learn why, unless it's for a tree felling business, you should never lend money to a lumberjack, and above all, you'll learn why good fortune is simply the best result of hard work. For our first topic today, we will look at how saving and investing wisely is crucial to amassing a fortune. Have you ever wondered why some people are more successful than others at accumulating wealth? Is it because they're frugal and save every penny that they earn, whereas others squander their earnings? In fact, the key to becoming wealthy is to strike a balance between these two extremes. You must not only hoard money, but also know how to use it wisely. Of course, the first step is to put money aside. Obviously, this means that you won't be able to spend all of your earnings and will have to live on a budget. Perhaps you can cut back on those little luxuries in life, such as the city weekend in Paris that you had planned, or a quilted luxury toilet paper that you bought. The regular stuff will work just fine. However, saving money in this manner will not enable you to become wealthy. You should look for investment opportunities as well. This is due to the fact that the money in your mattress will not appreciate in value. Even depositing it in a bank will yield a pitiful return. Instead, you should put your money into something that will grow your wealth, such as stocks, government bonds, or startup funding. If you do it correctly, your savings will grow in value without any additional effort on your part. When you do make an investment, make sure it's a good one. Only put your money in the hands of people who know what they're doing. For example, you should not give money to a lumberjack who claims to be starting a diamond buying and selling business. Giving your money to a hedge fund to invest wisely, on the other hand, can make sense. They are likely to know the market better than you do. The key to financial success is to admit how little you truly know. Do you consider yourself to be an expert? Even wise? If that's the case, you're in for a rude awakening. True wisdom is recognizing and admitting how little you actually know. Socrates, the ancient philosopher, regarded himself as wise because he admitted, "I know that I know nothing." This philosophy should also apply when learning new things. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you know everything right away. Instead, take a moment to look around. It's a fact of life that gaining new knowledge simultaneously reveals new areas of ignorance if we choose to notice them. For example, once you understand the fundamentals of relativity theory, you can't help but run into its more complicated and sophisticated areas, which makes you realize that there's still a lot that you don't know. In fact, you now perceive yourself to be even more ignorant than before. Unfortunately, most people, especially in the field of finance, are unaware how little that they know. In fact, most adults struggle to use even basic financial formulas, such as calculating compound interest. According to studies, worse, they have a habit of rushing ahead with their limited knowledge without pausing to consider all of the areas in which they are lacking. Some people, for example, learned the fundamentals of investing in risky subprime mortgages and believed they knew enough to profit from them. But they failed spectacularly in 2008 because they had not taken the time to learn more about their investment. They neglected to inquire about the long-term viability and riskiness. If you go the extra mile and study finance, you'll be able to profit from the ignorance of those who didn't. This could, for example, assist you in spotting investment opportunities ahead of time or executing profitable trades with them. Secondly, we will take a look at the key to accumulating wealth, learning through trial and error. Many people fantasize about becoming wealthy overnight, but aside from winning the lottery, there's a slim chance that this will happen. Gaining wealth is a long process that involves many small steps forward and, more often than not, a few setbacks. But why is that the case? Why does accumulating wealth take so long? Simply because the world, especially the financial world, is constantly changing. This means you'll never be able to pick a single wealth-building strategy, such as investing in a specific stock, and sit back and watch the money roll in, because the financial system, and life in general, is so unpredictable. Something major, such as the stock market collapsing, will occur sooner or later. This means you'll have to adjust to your new circumstances and learn new wealth-building strategies, experimenting with them and most likely failing at a few. And just when you think that you've figured out your next winning strategy, something huge happens. However, as you gain more knowledge, you will improve your overall ability to invest wisely through this process of experience and adaptation. In fact, this trial and error method is similar to how scientists make progress. Failed experiments can be just as useful as successful ones. So if you make a bad investment in subprime mortgages, for example, you might learn so much that you can make them a good one in the same field. However, don't forget that trial and error entails making mistakes by definition. This means you should make sure that these errors are minor, and you shouldn't invest money that you can't afford to lose in an area where you're unsure. Making long-term investments where your money works for you rather than just working for money to afford things that you want today is crucial to success. What do you think the distinction is between earning money and accumulating wealth? If you're like the majority of people, you probably had no idea there was one. However, there is an important distinction to be made. Making money refers to the process in which you work for money, whereas achieving wealth refers to a situation in which money works for you. Consider the following scenario. You are a manager of a profitable factory and you earn a good salary every month. Obviously, you're making money. But are you wealthy? Probably not. To do so, you'll need to start saving and investing some of your money. For example, if you set aside a portion of your income and invest it in real estate, you will become wealthy because your money will work for you rather than against you. Making money is usually done with a goal of achieving short-term financial success. You only care about what you can buy with your next paycheck, and the future is unimportant. However, there is a risk in this way of thinking. What if the next paycheck never comes? Obtaining wealth, on the other hand, necessitates the pursuit of longer-term objectives. For example, the real estate you purchased will not provide you with immediate wealth. Instead, you will have to pay off the investment or wait for its value to rise. This may take some time, but once the investment begins to pay off, It will most likely continue to do so for the duration of your ownership. This type of long-term planning can help you provide security in the event of unforeseen circumstances, such as losing your job. If you borrow money, such as a student loan, you will almost certainly have to pay interest on it. When you lend someone money, you can expect them to pay interest on it, and this is one of the most common ways for those with money to increase their wealth. To comprehend why paying interest is unavoidable, you must first recognize that money, like employees or raw materials, is a resource. Assume you want to open a factory. What exactly would you need? Naturally, you'll require raw materials as well as manpower to manufacture your goods. You will, of course, have to pay for these resources, but you'll also require capital, which will be used to construct the factory. Capital, like any other resource, is a finite resource that must be paid for. To attract employees, you must offer a salary, and to attract capital, you must offer investors something in the form of interest. Interest is an appealing way to build wealth as an investor because of its compound nature. You can get your interest earnings to increase over time by earning interest on top of interest. Consider this scenario. You invest $100,000 in a new business, and the owner promptly repays you the original amount plus 10% interest, totaling $110,000. Then you decide to put the entire sum into a new business with the same terms. You then get the money back plus 10% interest, and you'll get $121,000. So your interest earnings have increased. This process can be repeated indefinitely, earning ever-increasing interest. As you can see, your money not only works around the clock for you, but it also gets better at what it does over time. Then you'll learn how good fortune and hard work are linked. This leads us to our third topic, where we consider the influence and uses of luck. Opportunity is a source of good fortune that can be pushed to occur more frequently than chance. What do you think of when you hear the word luck? Many people believe that luck is made up of random, serendipitous events. Is this, however, always true? Assume you're in a tennis tournament. You've been practicing for months and you have thoroughly prepared. Finally, you win the final by clipping the top of the net, causing the ball to bounce just out of your opponent's reach. Was it just a stroke of luck? Of course not. You had worked hard for that good fortune. When people refer to random luck, they're really referring to chance. Something random and uncontrollable happens by chance, such as winning the lottery or being struck by lightning. Because luck isn't truly random, it needs to be distinguished from chance. People, on the other hand, work hard for it and earn it. So, what can you do to improve your luck? Simply by being on the lookout for ways to improve your financial situation. Consider an entrepreneur who is interested in consumer and spends time reading trend reports, analyzing the global financial situation, and reaching out to innovators in her network every day. She reads one day that 3D televisions are expected to be the next big thing, and the next day she hears from an investor in her network who has discovered a way to make 3D televisions for half the price. Naturally, she seizes the opportunity and begins manufacturing televisions. Quickly becoming a huge success, this stroke of luck was clearly the result of her hard work, vigilance, and willingness to seize the opportunity. Work hard to recognize opportunities and seize them without delay. So why do people pass up chances? It is far too often due to their procrastination. For example, if the entrepreneur had decided not to invest in the new 3D television technology and instead waited for it to prove itself and gain traction, the inventor would almost certainly have found another investor. You can't wait for opportunities to come knocking on your door. You have to be proactive and seize them or you'll miss out. Simply put, if you want to increase the number of opportunities you see, you must work hard. Study and investigate the areas that interest you and build a network, so you'll be better able to recognize and appreciate opportunities when they arise. Remember, even if you work hard, golden opportunities are few and far between. This means you may have to wait a while, which can be discouraging because your hard work appears to be in vain. However, when an opportunity does present itself, your perseverance will pay off. Consider an entrepreneur who has developed a radio that does not require any electricity. She spends a lot of time perfecting her product before pitching to investors. Every potential investor rejects it for a year, claiming, "Who listens to the radio nowadays?" Despite her disappointments, she perseveres until an investor realizes that the product is ideal for developing countries with inadequate power grids. Her patience paid off when the product went on to become a huge success. Finally, let's look at how making sound financial decisions avoids debt. Have you ever wondered how some people manage to get themselves into financial trouble? Typically, it's due to their irrational financial decisions. So, what are your options for avoiding this? First and foremost, you must base all expenditure and cost decisions on realistic assessments of your personal needs and financial situation. Let's say you're desperate for a new flashy car. You don't really need it, and purchasing it would necessitate taking out a large loan with very bad terms. Obviously, you should not get it, but let's pretend that you do. You're now devoting the majority of your income to repaying the interest, and you'll eventually reach a point where you must repay the principal. You cannot afford it. So you take out a second loan and pay off the first. You've suddenly found yourself in a debt trap, and you'd better hope that the flashy car is also a comfortable place to sleep. In fact, taking on debt is a bad idea in general because it prevents you from saving money to invest and build wealth. Instead, you'll use your earnings to pay off your debt. Surprisingly, this can also be detrimental to creditors because it denies debtors the opportunity to increase their wealth. This puts them in a financial bind, and they may default on the debt entirely, which is every creditor's worst nightmare. Greece, for example, was heavily indebted to the European Central Bank during the recent Eurozone crisis because the country had to make debt payments. It was unable to invest in areas such as schools, infrastructure, transportation, and other areas that would benefit the economy in the long run. Without these investments, the country would never be able to repay its debts completely, and this could lead to defaults, which would be detrimental to both parties. As a result, creditors may find it prudent to suspend debt payments in some cases to allow their debtors to reclaim their financial footing. Ultimately, the key to becoming wealthy is to live below your means in order to save money and invest a portion of it in a way that pays your interest. You must also realize that by working hard and seizing opportunities boldly, you can earn your luck. These three key concepts can facilitate your pathway to success. Number one, keep your spending to a minimum. Number two, never take on debt to purchase a luxury item because it's extremely difficult to get out of such debt. If you really want something but can't afford it, put money aside to buy it. Number three, invest a portion of your earnings judiciously. Always make sure you don't spend all of your money on things you want. Part of it should be saved and invested, for example, in stocks or bonds, so that the money can start working for you and earning interest. Don't put your hard-earned money in the hands of a novice or an amateur. If the person that you're entrusting your money to is inexperienced in the field, no matter how appealing an opportunity appears, chances are they'll fail. As a result, only invest with people who have demonstrated that they know what they're doing. Thank you for watching this video entirely to the end. Nothing helps me out more than y'all sticking it out to the end. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like this video and subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to make videos like this for you to enjoy.